Hello YouTube, how you doing? Today, Price Down Mall here. Um, I am going to be doing something different, or I won't say different, but on a different bike. I actually just acquired an RC390. It is a 23 model. Um, so basically, I'm going to do an Akrapovic exhaust, and interestingly enough, I've seen quite a few fakes popping up, especially on eBay. And I figured, you know what, let me just buy the bike, and at the same time, let me just pick up the exhaust at the dealership. So even though it was definitely more expensive at the dealership, I think it was like an extra 40 or 50 bucks just because I'm there. Whatever, they have to make their profit, I suppose. I figure, you know what, I get it from them, and I get the authentic Akrapovic exhaust, just like this one. And one question that may pop up for some of you guys is like, man, how do you know it's an Akrapovic? Well, there you go. You have the Akrapovic exhaust instructions, and you'll have, things like that, manufactured by Akrapovic and so on. And you'll have kind of like this type of labels. So you could tell this is carbon fiber, and you could tell the finish of this thing. It's definitely not like the eBay exhausts, or some of them at least. Um, all I could say is that I was actually reluctant to buy one on eBay because of, gee, I may get a fake. And even though um, they mostly look the same in some sense, but one thing that I don't like to do, especially on a bike like this, expensive bikes, is that you don't want to cheap out on your parts. So you don't really want to cheap out on an exhaust either. You want it to look the part. You want it to sound, even if it's just a little bit more different than the cheap ones or the cheap versions, that is. Some cases may not even matter, but it matters to me. So I spend the extra money and got this one instead. Like you could see here, it says for the RC390, it's got a nice exhaust hanger here for the exhaust is carbon fiber. Also, and it has all the pieces here. So one thing that I bought for this one, considering I am going to remove the foot pegs for the passengers, I'll never have a passenger on this bike, and also the seat. I'm going to put a seat delete that I already have. There's probably going to be another video. It's just simple parts that you could buy for this particular bike and make it look really, really nice, even though it's not going to go super fast, but it makes it look really, really nice. So just like this particular one is the GP version with the orange, and it looks pretty sharp, as you can tell. Okay, so other than that, what I was going to say in regards to the hanger, I actually got one from RNG through a Twisted Throttle. They make a super solid hanger that I also bought. I actually paid, I think it was over $75 for this, but this is like super thick, and it's not going to allow the exhaust, okay, to be vibrating. Especially the carbon fiber ones tend to break. They're really meant for racing. If you want to get one that will last on the street, you want to get one that's a little more solid than the carbon one. I mean, if the bike falls, there's a good chance that this may break, or it possibly breaks. It'll crack or whatever, flake, whatever. So just because it is carbon fiber, I mean, titanium will probably be equally expensive, possibly even more expensive. I don't know, but all the pieces match, and that's what matters to me. So without further ado, I'm going to get this started. It's actually a super easy install. In my case, I'm talking about 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the other side for the foot peg delete that came as part of the kit that I bought from RNG. Again, that was a Twisted Throttle. Is where I got it at. This I got at my dealership when I bought the bike. So I mean, other than that, Should be a pretty simple install, but what I was saying, 2 bolts here, 2 bolts on the other side, then the 1 bolt here, and everything will come out perfectly, and then I can install the hanger, the new exhaust hanger, and once I get that done, I should be able to install that, and the bike will sound a little different. Possibly not that much different, considering it is a one-cylinder bike, but it's going to sound a little better than it sounds now. Okay, so I'm actually going to start it. It is a cold start. Just want to do a quick before and after before I start taking stuff out. So there you go. Pretty quiet. Pretty quiet. You can hardly hear this bike. Reminds me of my old KLR. Oh, there you go. Let me just do that again. And I already bought a Cougar ECU with the CAD delete. That will also be another video. So I should have done that first, but that would have been a little bit more time. I would have to remove fairings. I would have to probably lift the tank or remove this portion here. And I really didn't have the time to do that today. So I figured let me just do the exhaust first, the slip-on. I am going to leave this can here. What the guys were telling me at the dealership is that helps the back pressure, and with the Cougar CAD delete, it will actually make a bit of a difference, just because the Cougar ECU, it's a piggyback to the ECU that is not going to be removed from the bike anyway. So they said it would help the ECU and it will not void the warranty, which is one of the reasons why I got the Cougar ECU, is because the warranty on the bike will stay intact. They work pretty close to KTM, and they actually have a product that works and it matches this bike really good. The price is up there, just like that exhaust. I think between the Cougar ECU, the CAD delete, and the programming on the piggyback, and the cabling, and this particular slip on here, the Akrapovic, I paid about, I think it was a little over $1,300. Okay, so that was about 600 and some change, and the Cougar ECU was almost $900. But I bought the whole kit with the air box top. It basically just removes the top of the airbox, and it puts one that has the foam, the special foam, or calibrated, what have you. So I went ahead and did that. But that's another video. Let me just go ahead and jump into this, and I'll show you guys what it sounds like. So in regards to the tools, YouTube, basically I have number 4 Allen wrench, a number 6, and a number 12 millimeter socket there for this bolt, and the one down here, and also in order to be able to install this thing here, this is the blanking plate for the passenger foot peg. All you have to do is remove the number 6 bolts from this side, which I actually already loosened up. You should be able to just remove them, and this will go right there. That's actually what I'm going to do next, and then go from there, and then go to the other side. One quick thing I wanted to mention, and even though this is a simple install, I just went through the instructions real quick, because you have, once this is removed, you'll have a couple of aluminum washers here, the thick ones, and you have a grommet right in here in this bracket, the original, and you also have another aluminum washer here, and just the nut. Okay, no washers in between, no pressure washers or anything like that. But the reason why I mentioned that is because the grommet, in my particular case, with the RNG, bracket. Let me put this down. So basically, I got, when I took it out of the package, you could see that hole is pretty big. So basically, all that is, the grommet that's in here needs to come off, and then you have to reuse it. And that hole, that way the bolt basically just floats inside of the grommet, and it allows this to flex a little bit, the exhaust. Okay, that way nothing breaks the carbon fiber, at least in my case. Nothing breaks the carbon fiber exhaust. Another thing I noticed when I took everything out of the package, and this is the package, and this is the for the actual exhaust. Okay, everything came serialized. This was serial. This is serialized. Okay, so that's one authentic exhaust. Okay, the certificates, you could see them there. So that's another thing. I didn't mention that before, but I'm actually surprised that I saw those there, the certificates, which indicates even more that the authentic exhaust that I just got. Paid hefty price for it. But what I wanted to mention is that it came with the exhaust gasket, and that's an expensive little piece. I know that the dealer didn't have them, and I almost bought one, but I didn't need one at the end anyway. I think on that side, when I do the decat, I may need something that goes in there, but I'm not sure because I'm not going to take it out today. But I just wanted to mention these pieces. These are actually really important, and it all comes with the kit. Okay, so other than that, I'm just going to continue once it's mounted. Then I'll show the mounted exhaust here. One thing I also wanted to mention, the last thing, is that you could actually put the exhaust either, once I put this bracket, I should be able to put it on this side or on the inside. Okay, and in my case, I'm going to try to keep it as close as possible to the swing arm. I don't want the exhaust to be hanging out here once I adjust it. So, well, that's really up to you, and that's a preference thing. That's actually in the manual, so you should be able to see it. And that bolt, this bolt right here, is going to be tightened to 16 foot-pounds. Okay, so between, I would say between 14 and 16. I'm not sure I'm going to be needing to go that tight, but it all depends. You don't want to break the carbon fiber hanger there. So I guess it would be up to the person that's tightening this up and installing it to decide if they're going to make this 16 foot-pounds. But that's what the manual calls for. So that's what I'm quoting now in the video. Okay, I'm just going to continue and show the final product once I'm done, and go from there. Okay, guys, I'm not putting any Loctite, by the way, on any of the bolts because there's no Loctite on them from the factory by KTM. So I'm thinking that just putting them in there should be okay. All right. So that is the grommet that came out of the original bracket. And as you can see, it is the same size. So it's going to fit perfectly there. And as far as the grommets go, these are the metal washers that came with the exhaust, with this bracket here, the foot peg bracket. That was the original. As you can see, taking it off, so I should be able to put that in there. I mean, this doesn't even move. This is actually really good. Has a really good spacing on this one. So once you see, should be able to see that. Just moves a little bit, and it gives it a little room. So once I get that put in on the bike, you should be able to see it. So no Loctite. The leftover Loctite was good enough to make those really tight, and that's not gonna come off. So that's pretty good. So for the gasket that goes on that canister side, so basically all we have to do is put the clamp that came with the kit, with the Akrapovic kit exhaust, and that particular gasket goes in there. Okay, and then once everything is in place, even though it's gonna be pushed a little further in or a little in, I'm actually just going to place it here. You see how the actual the actual bolt, it's in there, so it's gonna go like that, facing down. You could do that in the other direction. It really doesn't matter. I suppose it's just a clearance um, type of fit. So that depends on what you want to do. A look, perhaps. I'm uncertain of that. I mean, everybody's different. Everybody's got their own idea. So obviously, I just tried to put it there and it didn't go. I'm not going to force it, so I'm just going to take out this gasket from here again, this exhaust gasket, and I'm just going to put it there. And it should go right in there like that. Now, if I press it all the way down, there's just a little bit of a gap right in there, but that shouldn't really matter. Once this is all the way in there, it's not gonna matter because there's not a lot of room. There's not a lot of room that's cut. Okay, so you shouldn't have to worry about this. These are a pretty good fit. I mean, once you could see what I mean. Um, even if it goes all the way in, this is gonna be the gasket. There's not gonna be exhaust gases coming out, which even a little bit doesn't really matter. Okay. Okay. So that is a T45. It's a star. So if you find or if you have a T45, that should be what that is. That came with the Akrapovic exhaust. So that was the only tool I didn't list at the beginning of the video. What I did is that I actually put the gasket first there, the exhaust gasket there, then held it. That way when I pressed that in, it didn't move. So I kept them pretty lined up to the edge. Okay, you cannot see it there, but they're lined up to the edge. Then I actually tightened that up to make it snug. That way this will move a little bit. Okay, for final adjustment now, once I adjust the exhaust and I place it where it needs to be and put all of the fasteners in place, then I should be able to align it properly and tighten it up at the very end. Okay, it should actually be pretty simple stuff. As you can see with that, I used the two original bolts on this and tightened them all the way as much as I could. As you can see, I got the original aluminum washers there with the grommet right in there, and this is pretty solid. I mean, like, doesn't even seem to be moving. So let's continue. So in regards to the bracket that holds the exhaust, okay, once this is in place, as you can see, I don't have the springs here yet, but there's a label, and you see it there, cap 10. That label should be going on the inside, and you can tell that there's like a slant there. So if you put it like that, it's not going to be, basically it's not going to fit properly. So just keep that label on the inside. That's basically what the instructions say, and that's the way I'm going to keep it. The exhaust itself has that curvature anyway, so just be sure you keep that label on the inside. Okay, so as stated, with that label, and the reference I had was the original foot peg. According to the instructions, that's what it shows. But what ended up happening, at least in my case, this is the original, okay? So because it has the foot peg and the bracket comes out uh, quite far, and I wanted to keep my exhaust further in, closer to the swing arm, for that matter. And I have the RNG bracket. I look further into the instructions, and it shows that particular configuration, as you can see. Now, if I would have used the original foot peg, the bracket, okay, now this would have been the other way around, and then it would have been moved because the bracket would be further in. It was just kind of like a weird thing, and you'll see it in the instructions. I'm actually going to show it here, but you see how it shows that you could do that on one side or that, which is basically what I chose. So all I did was flip the bracket, and it was allowed according to the instructions, and to RNG also, in order to be able to satisfy the, I suppose is the race parameter, if that's the case, or the practice parameter. I would say I wouldn't race on this bike, but then again, who knows. But as you can see, it's super close. Okay, so I'm actually happy with that. It looks pretty sharp. So I just need to install the springs, which actually have nice little detail. It shows the Akrapovic, the logo right there, which is cool. I actually like that. It's just one of those things that most people don't notice. I just noticed it by looking at it on the light, and I thought it was pretty cool. So let's continue with this. That way we can see the final product already. Okay, YouTube. So I'll finally get this completed, and I must say, my goodness gracious, man. In comparison to my 890, which I also have on my channel posted, I mean, that bike, I no longer have it. And I do regret selling it, but I ended up with a different one. So even though this is not an 890, it's a 390, and I have to say, completely different bikes, completely different purpose. But I must say, this exhaust came out really, really, really good. I mean, I'm actually quite surprised. I like the way it looks. It seems to be, it matches the lines of the bike really, really good. I mean, you would have thought, I mean, you could tell right there what I'm talking about. I mean, it matches the lines absolutely. That exhaust is gorgeous, I must say, and the bike looks pretty stunning as it is, in this orange, which, by the way, I got because I want people to be able to see me, and just in case I cannot get out of the way, I want to be able to at least be visible on the street. But anyways, I actually aligned everything according to what I could tell was the best alignment, and everything came out. Nothing seems to be forced. Everything went in perfectly. No discrepancies. So the springs, same thing. I mean, everything came out pretty good, lined up. That was actually the last thing I did. This was actually loose when I actually installed them, which I actually installed them from this side to this side, primed them with a short screwdriver, and these are not like super hard, but they're hard enough that where they can actually keep this whole section together. So I'm actually satisfied with that. I don't like super tense springs. This actually did the job, and then everything got pushed. After everything was done, everything got pushed to the end, and I was able to tighten that up. I think I did maybe like 5 or 6 turns possibly, and it's pretty tight. I mean, it's solid. Nothing moves. If I try to move the exhaust, nothing moves, and I'm actually super satisfied. I actually found these, so I took the black ones out. They're the originals. and I put this in there. I think that was actually part of the RNG kit that came from Twisted Throttle, where I bought them. Super cool people. They actually ship very, very fast. Open channel of communication, amazing people. So, but anyways, I'm actually gonna start up the bike. Enough talking, and see how this thing actually sounds, which I'm curious about. It almost sounds the same, if you ask me. Now, one thing to remember is that the canister is still there. The decat hasn't been installed. So this is really what I was expecting somewhat. And another thing, it actually has a baffle, I think, even though it doesn't even look like one. But anyways, the sound is okay. I didn't really expect it to sound any different, which is okay by me. Once I do the decat, the sound may change. I'm not sure about that, but anyways, other than my opinion on the exhaust, I think it looks amazing on the bike. And that was basically it, guys. If you have any questions in regards to what I did, everything is pretty straightforward, pretty simple. Took me a little long because of the video, but still pretty cool to do stuff on these bikes. And like I mentioned at the beginning, do not cheap out on your parts. These bikes are expensive, and keep them lined up to the parts that you should really buy. These bikes are not cheap. So like I said, until the next one, guys, thanks so much.